US and British fighter jets launched at least 15 airstrikes against Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. Personalities from 20 countries presented to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights a request for the extension of precautionary measures in favor of the former Ecuadorian Vice President Jorge Glas. In Argentina, workers allowed upon apartmental health hospital denounced the national government's order to close the public facility. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The United States and the United Kingdom launched new bombing raids on Yemeni territory. US and British fighter jets launched at least 15 airstrikes against Sana'a, the capital of Yemen, and the governorates of Hodeidah and Damar. According to US Central Command forces, the aggression was directed at military installations of the Ansarullah movement. However, explosions were recorded in densely populated areas. The day before, the United States had already launched 4 strikes against the port area of the west of Yemen. Since the beginning of the Yemeni actions in support of the Palestinian people, NATO planes have carried out 680 raids against Yemen. And in Syria, President Bashar al-Assad received the Foreign Affairs Minister of Iran, Abbas Araghchi, to discuss how to stop the Israeli offensive in Lebanon. The Iranian diplomat arrived in Damascus on an official visit to strengthen bilateral ties in addition to evaluating and defining strategies to confront the onslaught of Israel. Araghchi affirmed that the only solution to stop the war is to stop the assassinations, the bloodshed of innocent people, and the return of the lands occupied by Israel. President al-Assad on his speech pointed out that Iran's attacks on Tel Aviv in defense of the Middle East is a strong lesson to dissuade the enemy. And also in Syria, citizens gathered in solidarity with the Lebanese and Palestinian people, honoring as well the memory of the Lebanese resistance Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. In the ceremony that took place in the city of Damascus, religious, political, and social personalities participated to reaffirm their support and solidarity with the Palestinian cause. The attendees affirmed that these activities prolong the line of resistance and intend to follow the path until the defeat of the Israeli occupation. Additionally, they highlight the hundreds of demonstrations around the world as an expression of solidarity with Lebanon, Palestine, and Hezbollah. The Lebanese Minister of Information, Siad Makari, pointed out that they fear devastation like the one that occurred in the Lebanese Strip as a result of the constant attacks by Israel. The official made the declarations on the silent of an event in France.
We still think that there is a tiny bit of hope on the diplomatic front, because Lebanon is bombed every day. Beirut is bombed every day, every night, for 24 hours. The Bekaa in Lebanon, the south, we are afraid we are turning into a new Gaza in Lebanon.
On the other hand, the Lebanese minister denounced that Benjamin Netanyahu seeks to drag Lebanon and the region into an endless war.
It's a criminal attitude. He murdered Ismail Haniyeh while negotiating a ceasefire. He murdered Hassan Nasrallah while negotiating a ceasefire. So he knew what was going to happen. We find what has happened unacceptable, and it has dragged the country and perhaps an entire region into a war that will never end.
In Chile, the coordinator for Palestine will remain for 24 hours outside the presidential palace La Moneda in Santiago, reading the names of the 17,000 children killed in Gaza on the one-year anniversary of the beginning of the genocide perpetrated by Israel against the Palestinian people. In an emotional act of silence and collaboration, the attendees will rotate through the night and early morning until the 1500 hours on October 5th. On the other hand, from the coordinator, they invite the Chilean people to demonstrate during Saturday in a national day of mobilization for Palestine. The rally calls to honor more than 100 years of Palestinian resistance and to demand a comprehensive military embargo against the Israeli regime led by Netanyahu. And in Spain, deputies categorically rejected the decision of Pedro Sanchez's government to illegally deport more than 15 Sahrawi activists to Morocco. The leader of Podemos, Ione Belarra, demanded to the government of Pedro Sanchez that the Sahrawi people held in the airport of Barajas should not be deported because they are in a situation of asylum request in the country. Likewise, the Galician nationalist bloc presented requests to find out the reason behind the deportations, which so far have been 16. In addition, the activists have documentations that validate their origin and a recommendation from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees to complete their request for statelessness, parallel to international protection.
As for the expulsions, we are in exactly the same situation, in flagrant violation of the international law. The Sahrawi citizens, as their Sahrawi, are non-Moroccans. Therefore, their expulsion to Morocco is a breach of the resolution of the United Nations and a violation of the fundamental rights. They cannot be expelled and, therefore, their requests have to be taken into account on an individual basis. The evidence provided is sufficient for it to have been considered.
The lawyer of the Sahrawi activist Fatma El Ghalia held at the airport of Barajas offered information on the state of the detainees.
We have sick people, children, women. There has been a sick person, a deaf mute, who has not been able to express himself, to speak or say what he wants to say, and to transfer it to the Spanish state. He has not been able to ask for protection for himself, because something as simple, as easy as a sign language interpreter, he has not had the right.
Let's now take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Ecuador, personalities from 20 countries presented to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights a request for the extension of precautionary measures in favor of the former Ecuadorian Vice President Jorge Glas. The letter requested to extend the non-custodial measures recognizing the diplomatic asylum status of the former Ecuadorian Vice President, who is currently being held in a maximum security prison. They also insisted that Glas suffers from chronic illnesses. In this context, former Vice President Jorge Glas was kidnapped last April 5th after an incursion promoted by President Daniel Noboa to the Mexican embassy in the country, thus violating international rights. And on Friday, Venezuela's Minister of Foreign Affairs Ivan Gil held a meeting with members of the Arab community in the country. During his remarks, the minister assured the fascist regime of Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is carrying out an extermination plan of unprecedented dimensions with the complicity of the U.S. and its Western allies. Venezuela will not tolerate this genocide and will promote a global movement to confront the Israeli aggression against Palestine, Lebanon, Iran, Syria, the region, and the world. Let's recall that these meetings took place amid the escalation of violence in the Middle East prompted by Israel's occupation forces. And the former candidate of the far right for the presidency of Venezuela, Edmundo González Urrutia, affirmed on Friday that his departure from the South American country is only temporary, an issue that the president of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, defined as a violation of the asylum rules. During an appearance at the forum La Toja Vínculo Atlántico, the far-right winger affirmed his intention to return to Venezuela and asked the government of Spain to recognize his position in accordance with the alleged popular will of 8 million Venezuelans, which was not reflected at all in the electoral minutes. Likewise, former candidate González Urrutia expressed his intentions to return to Venezuela as soon as possible, presumably to take office as president on January 10th. On the subject, the president of the Venezuelan National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, denounced on his Instagram account that González Urrutia, the same day he requests asylum before the government of Spain, violates the rules of asylum. For Rodriguez, Urrutia asks for money and lies both in writing and when he speaks. And on Thursday, the Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and the ambassador of Lebanon in Caracas, Elias Lebos, agreed to form a world movement to confront the aggression of the Zionist regime of Israel against the people of Palestine and Lebanon. Through Telegram, the head of state informed about the meeting he held with Lebos and expressed that a humanitarian aid brigade will be organized. The Arab and Lebanese community will be summoned for mobilization and a movement against aggression will be formed as never seen and started before. The president also reaffirmed his categorical rejection of the Israeli regime's policy of extermination against the Palestinian and Lebanese people, with the implementation of a project of domination and colonization of the Arab Muslim world and the Middle East. For its part, the Cuban Ministry of Foreign Affairs rejected on October 4th complicity of the United States with anti-Cuban terrorism. The statement was made after the release of Alexander Alasso, who had fired 32 rounds of ammunition at the Cuban embassy in the U.S. on April 30th, 2020. On its website, the Foreign Ministry stated that this action would qualify as a terrorist act in any country of the world, but that is not the case in the United States, much less when this is about a violent action against Cuba. Moreover, the statement adds the record of the United States government as perpetrator or tolerant accomplice of terrorism and violent acts against Cuba is too well known. The protection and support to notorious terrorists is part of the conduct sheet of that country. Likewise, the text expresses the authorities of justice system of that country would rather ignore the evidence on the links and contacts Alasso kept with groups and individuals based in South Florida, which have a background of aggressive actions against Cuba. And in Peru, indigenous communities denounced an oil spill in the Pastaza River and expressed concern that the contamination could reach the Marañón River, an affluent of the Amazon. The indigenous leader, Teddy Guerra, denounced that the spill has already affected the entire basin of the Pastaza River in the Junco district of Andoas, and that it threatens to reach the Great Amazon River through the Marañón. According to the complainant, the state-owned company Petroperú, which he holds responsible for the incident, has only taken contingency measures and has not cleaned up the Pastaza. The spilled crude oil comes from the 800-kilometer-long North Peruvian pipeline built 4 decades ago to transport oil from the Amazon region to Piura on the coast. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Argentina, workers at the Laura Bonaparte Mental Health Hospital denounced the national government's order to close the public facility. According to the center's workers, the Ministry of Health decided to close the facilities this Friday and announced that from that moment on, no patients could be admitted. From the Ministry of Health, the authorities stated that the provisions for the closure of the facilities are part of the restructuring plan of the Laura Bonaparte Hospital. For the reordering of the system, on Friday afternoon, hospital workers held a protest outside the building and will remain there until the early hours of the morning to prevent the dismantling of the facility. Also in Argentina, after the massive march in defense of the national universities, the government will present a bill to change fees to non-resident foreign students attending public universities. In the next few days, the presentation of the alleged bill through the Ministry of Deregulation and Transformation of the State will be official. It's estimated that it could take place after the parliamentary debate in deputies on the presidential veto of the university financing law, scheduled for Wednesday, October 9th. To modify the current system of admission of foreign students to national universities, the government should send to Congress a proposal to change at least the Law 24521 of Higher Education and the Law 25871 of Migrations. And in Colombia, the government announced on October 4th an initiative to unite different political and social sectors in order to reduce violence and promote dialogue in the country. The Colombian Minister of Interior, Juan Fernando Cristo, presented a governmental initiative in which the political forces of the country are called to reach an agreement to respect life. In this sense, what has been denominated as basis of a minimum agreement against violence and for democracy seeks to open a path to dialogue among different citizens, economic, political, and social sectors. Meanwhile, the minister emphasized that this is an inclusive and interactive process that intends to build consensus around the most urgent problems affecting the people. And the World Health Organization approved the use of the first diagnostic test for Mpox that will provide immediate results. The WHO approved the real-time PCR test, which enables the detection of the virus by testing swabs of skin lesions. Currently, patients have to wait days for results. These tests will help health workers confirm suspected cases more efficiently. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the epicenter of the current outbreak, only 37% of suspected cases have been tested this year. The United Nations Health Agency noted Mpox, which is transmitted by human-to-human contact and contact with infected animals, has been detected in 16 African countries this year. And in Colombia, baristas prepare and pour a cup of coffee for the jury of the National Baristas Championship Edition 18th, organized by Café de Colombia in Bogotá. The Colombia Barista Championship is a competition organized by Café de Colombia and supported by World Coffee Events. During the contest, which brings together producers from 23 Colombian departments, the best baristas in the country compete in 3 rounds, where they are judged by a panel of 4 sensory judges, 2 technical judges, and a head of judge. Each barista has 15 minutes to prepare 4 milk-based drinks, 4 espressos, and 4 design drinks, using their creativity and skill to elaborate an attractive and personalized proposal.
In terms of innovation, in terms of the cup, and also in terms of processing, I think we have the best coffee in the world. I think we are on a wave of the greatest moments of Colombian coffee. In terms of innovation, in terms of the cup, and also in terms of processing, I think we have the best coffee in the world. I think we are on a wave of the greatest moments of Colombian coffee.
Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.